The ruling regime in Libya has rejected a ceasefire proposal by rebel leaders, which would require forces loyal to Moamar Gaddafi to leave the cities that they're occupying. Despite the talk of a truce, the fighting has continued, with clashes near the rebel-held city of Misrata and more airstrikes throughout the country. ABC Middle East correspondent Ann Barker has more.
These untrained, badly organised rebel forces near Braga have had a much-needed boost. The general, who's the closest thing they have to a commanding officer, paid a visit. There were other army defectors too, making it more like a rebel fighting force. But the rebels are still outgunned by Gaddafi's army, and there's a feeling a ceasefire now could prevent further losses. In Ajdabiya, rebel fighters welcomed the UN envoy who might be able to broker such a truce. He'd just been in Tripoli for talks with the Gaddafi regime, pressing the demands of the Security Council.
And that ceasefire needs to be credible, needs to be effective and verifiable.
The regime rejected the rebels' ceasefire conditions that pro-Gaddafi forces withdraw from the cities they're besieging.
If this is not mad, then I don't know what it is. We will not leave our cities. We will not stop protecting our civilians.
There are more reports of civilian casualties as a result of the airstrikes. A doctor in this hospital said 7 civilians were killed when an arms convoy was hit. But he said the alternative to the airstrike was worse.
Imagine if this convoy has reached Ajdabiya, maybe hundreds and hundreds have been killed.
The protest movement, which triggered the Libyan conflict, continues to blaze across the region. In Syria, there were reports of several deaths when gunmen fired on pro-democracy protesters. There were also tensions in Yemen when massive anti-government demonstrations followed Friday prayers. Government supporters also staged big rallies. And in Egypt, protesters called for ousted dictator Hosni Mubarak to be put on trial. Even in the country where pro-democracy activists had their biggest success, many feel the fight for freedom isn't over yet. Ann Barker, ABC News.